Total cost of ownership, or TCO as it's commonly referred to, is going to be really different with electric vehicles. And there's some factors that we still need to learn more about. Grants, incentives, understanding what the charging costs are going to be and what the charging savings could be compared to a diesel vehicle. Another factor that's still to be determined is residual value. What's the second life of the vehicle going to look like? When it's time to trade in the vehicle, does the whole vehicle get traded in? Is it just the batteries that get swapped out? These are things that we still need to learn.
The forward-facing fleets, I think, realize that there's a place in the not-so-distant future where the cost of operating an electric vehicle is going to be either at parity or better than diesel. So those fleets are really in it for the learning, for the capturing the knowledge, being poised so that when that cost curve flips, they're ready to take advantage.
So the cost of operating the electric vehicle, early stages, but we found about an 85% improvement in operating efficiency for the electric vehicle. A little bit more expensive, obviously, to purchase, but we do see significant benefits in terms of operating costs.
Our standard yard tractor diesel spec would typically run 5, 6, maybe 7 years. From what we've seen of this unit's operation so far, we think we can get at least 10 years of life out of this.
We have a good partnership with California. I mean, to be able to do this venture, you need good partnerships. And we've been lucky to be able to get these 21 trucks out and be able to be efficient in our cost and be able to have a truck that's going to be giving us 10, 15 years.
New York is now coming up to speed and starting to lead the way a little more when it comes to comprehensive infrastructure approaches, right, utility programs to provide fleet support on make-ready infrastructure as a complementary effort to meet the vehicle incentive programs sort of in the middle and provide more of a comprehensive resource to fleets.
It would be tough for me to go to the owners and say, hey, I want to get this truck, but with the grant process and what's available out there for offsetting the cost of the charger, now you're getting somewhere where it's getting feasible.
Chargers can't be put in without a definite negotiation with the utility on rates and demand charges and everything that goes along with it.
The infrastructure itself with permitting was very challenging. It took a long time. Again, we started our venture in 2018 and looking at the trucks, we knew that we had to get in the technology to charge these things. Getting the permits was a challenge.
SoCal Edison has some great programs that are helping us greatly in getting our charging infrastructure in.
Maintenance will go down. The question is, what magnitude will it go down? But I think a reasonable estimate is anywhere from 30 to 40%.
One of our first demonstrators that went into the field had a young lady driver, and she actually commented that she wasn't exhausted at the end of her 8-hour shift, which was something we hadn't even considered. It's an intangible benefit. Taking care of driver fatigue, keeping them away from the exhaust, these are things that are intangibles, but it really is important, particularly where you have low unemployment rates and it's difficult to recruit drivers. We take care of those drivers, and we can do that with what we ask them to operate.
We've been talking to other states about what it's going to take. It cannot be done right now without some sort of funding. And when I say some sort of a lot of funding. 4 or 5 years, we're probably going to be to the point where it can be done without grant funding. But until then, it's never going to take off the ground in other states unless there's some assistance.
We realized a couple of years into this that the city fleet really doesn't drive very far. And if we really wanted to get the cost benefit of the technology, because obviously there's an upcharge to this, to going from diesel to CNG or from diesel or gasoline to electric, that we needed to be able to work with fleets that just put on more mileage. And so we started to look outside of our small kind of sphere of influence and look at private fleets as well.
I don't think California is unique in its ability to provide all of the right kind of forcing mechanisms. But sure, having a low carbon fuel standard, a really long-term, well-funded incentive program, utility infrastructure incentives, those all really help, and it makes sense for that to be kind of the launching point for fleet adopters and for OEMs who are selling the products. We think the Northeast has inherent potential as a really dense region with a lot of economic centers to provide similar conditions really in the not too distant future, as long as we can begin to cobble together some of those really consistent but foundational pieces incentive programs, infrastructure preparedness. Maybe we can explore something along the lines of zero emission or low emission delivery zones. And those are the types of mechanisms that can begin to shape the calculus for fleets, but again, make that technology accessible, because we don't want to be asking or forcing them to overextend themselves economically.
In this early stages of the electrification market, grants and incentives are incredibly important. As OEMs begin to produce more and more vehicles and make improvements in the technology down the line, we hope that these electric trucks will become a lot more affordable. Providing that extra bit of incentive really goes a long way.
Here in California, the LCFS credits, the low carbon credits, are helping us greatly reduce the cost of our fuel, basically. Which, by the way, we have proven that it is less cost to run electricity than diesel fuel.